Zia was Tia's young, sassy, and witty teenage daughter, a mirror image of her mother in both attitude and growing shape. From her sharp tongue to her unshakable confidence, she embodied every lesson her mother had instilled in her. It didn't take long for Zia to take over the popularity club at Brougham High, the breeding ground for future basketball stars and social elites. Coming from a small, flatland country town to becoming a Raleigh transplant, Zia carved out a name for herself quickly. She knew how to maneuver through the hierarchy of high school politics, blending charm with a level of cunning that made her untouchable. Where most girls fought for status, Zia owned hers effortlessly. If someone had something slick to say, she had a sharper comeback waiting. If someone tried to knock her down, she'd rise back twice as strong. Her mother's street wisdom and country slickness were her weapons of choice, and she wielded them with precision. No matter the shade or hate thrown her way, Zia turned it into fuel, flipping the script on any girl who dared challenge her. The boys at Brougham High took notice too. She wasn't just another pretty face, she was a force, a strategist, a young queen who never let her crown slip. Every day, Zia would dress in her designer finest. She was very mature for her age, and at times she would drive her mama's Lexus to school. Jewelry and handbags. She had tons of them for this budding 15-year-old. She never took part in her mama's business. Instead, she was raised in it. Beyond school politics, Zia had something even bigger in the works, her brand. Early on, she realized that power wasn't just about ruling the hallways, it was about controlling the narrative. Social media became her playground, and she turned herself into a digital icon. Every outfit she wore, every moment she captured, every witty caption she posted, it all added to the Zia effect. At first, it started with simple outfit of the day posts. Then came the brand deals, local boutiques offering free clothes in exchange for a shout-out. Before she knew it, she had a following in the tens of thousands. Fashion and lifestyle brands slid into her DMs, eager to be associated with the young trendsetter. Tia, always the businesswoman, saw the potential before anyone else. She set Zia up with a professional photographer, ensuring every post was high quality. Penny, never one to miss a money move, started managing negotiations behind the scenes, making sure Zia got paid for her influence. As her reputation grew, so did the challenges. Rival girls plotted in the background, trying to poke holes in her armor. Teachers underestimated her, mistaking her confidence for arrogance. Even within her own circle, some questioned whether she could keep her status without losing herself. But Zia never wavered. With Tia's guidance, she navigated every storm with the same poise and fierceness that had made her mother a legend in her own right. One afternoon, as Zia strolled through the school hallways, a new name was buzzing on everyone's lips. Janelle. She was fresh from Atlanta, carrying an air of mystery and style that had the students intrigued. Unlike the other girls, Janelle didn't seem intimidated by Zia's presence. Instead, she acknowledged her with a knowing smirk, as if she had already cracked the code to the school's hierarchy. Zia noticed. She wasn't one to feel threatened easily, but there was something different about Janelle. She carried herself with an effortless confidence, her accent sharp, her designer fits just as exclusive as Zia's. The first encounter between the two was brief, but the tension in the air was thick. Janelle didn't come to Brougham to play second to anybody, and Zia wasn't about to let anyone rewrite the rules of her kingdom. What started as a quiet rivalry quickly turned into a full-blown power struggle. Social media was their battlefield, with cryptic posts and subtle shade thrown back and forth. Friend groups were forced to pick sides. Parties became strategic moves, who got invited and who got left out. Even the teachers, usually oblivious to teenage drama, noticed the tension between the two. Zia wasn't just defending her title, she was proving a point. She didn't need to be liked. She needed to be respected. Then came the moment of reckoning, a party that would decide everything. Janelle, making a bold move, planned her own event, one scheduled the same night as Zia's pre-homecoming bash. It was an open challenge, a test of power. The question was clear. Who really ran Brougham High? Zia had a choice. She could ignore Janelle's move and hope her status carried her through. or she could remind everyone why she was queen. She chose the latter. With Tia and Penny's connections, Zia pulled strings no high schooler could dream of. Her party wasn't just a party, it became a citywide event. VIP sections, a well-known DJ, and a guest list that included college ballers and influencers from neighboring cities. Janelle's event. It was dead before it even started. The battle was won before the doors even opened. When Zia walked in, draped in custom designer, cameras flashed. Janelle was nowhere to be found. Power wasn't about just fighting battles. It was about knowing which ones to win before they even started. Zia's Sweet 16 was a night to remember. Tia and Penny went all out, renting out the entire ballroom of the Sheraton Hotel in downtown Raleigh. No expense was spared. Lavish decorations, VIP treatment, and a special performance from the hottest local rap group, the 919 Boys. Every high school in the city had students lined up, eager to be part of the biggest event of the year. That night, Zia met Derek Hall, a 6 feet 7 inches shooting guard from Brougham High and best friend of local NBA star John Wallace. Derek had charm, talent, and a bright future ahead. Tia took immediate notice, playing the role of the watchful, strategic mother. She shut everything else out, including Don, to focus on her daughter's involvement with Derek. Don saw Tia in a new light, as did her family, but it was a double-sided sword. He wondered if Tia saw this as all her hard work paying off. Derek was next up for the NBA, with ties to all the hottest players in the city going to the draft, as well as his connection to John Wallace, already in the league. Don began to see Tia differently. Over the years, he had watched her brother Varnell use professional athletes for cover-ups, paying them thousands to register supercars and mansions in their names while they became rest havens for Tia and Varnell. He started to see Tia as a user, though he didn't hate the game. He kept his poker face and stood out of her way. Zia wasn't his daughter. Anyway, it was just good to see the young girl growing up happy. Don sat in the dimly lit room, his thoughts heavy with doubt. The luxurious surroundings of Tia's house, once a symbol of success and ambition, now felt suffocating. What had he even come here for in the first place? He had arrived with a clear sense of purpose, but somewhere along the way, that purpose had blurred into a role he wasn't sure he recognized anymore. Was he destined to become just another cog in Tia's world, her image consultant, her partner in crime, the quiet player in a game that wasn't even his own? As he watched Tia orchestrate her empire, Don began to question everything. He wondered if standing back and letting Derek's influence and Tia's ambition carry them all to wealth would be enough. Would the family grow rich, their money laundered clean by Tia, while he played his part in the shadows? The thought left a bitter taste in his mouth. In the quiet of the moment, Don realized that the price for his soul was too high. Was this really the life he wanted? Was his story meant to end here, caught in the web of power and deception? He felt like a pawn in a game he never signed up to play, but somehow he couldn't walk away. The stakes were too high now. Could he break free before it consumed him, or had he already sold more than he was willing to admit? In the silence of his thoughts, Don knew one thing: he had to decide what kind of man he would be, and he couldn't shake the feeling that his choice would shape the rest of his life. Don's mind raced, torn between his conscience and the harsh reality he was facing. Deep down, he couldn't help but think maybe this was the pattern he had seen before in men from powerful families, those who had come from the streets but went legit. Just stay quiet, shut your mouth, and enjoy the ride. That's what his conscience would whisper to him, urging him to accept his place in the world, to stop questioning the role he'd fallen into. But Don was different. He wasn't like them. He had always been there for Zia, a rock in her life when she needed someone most. He'd bring her candy bars when she was down, offering the kind of support she never got from her own father. He was the protector, a father figure in her life, alongside her Uncle Varnell. He wasn't about to throw away everything that had shaped him: the bond with her, the sense of responsibility, the desire to be better than this life. But now, as he watched Tia's game unfold, Don began to see it for what it was. With Kane entering the picture, things were shifting, and Don knew he had to figure out a way out. He could already feel the weight of it, the realization that his escape would crush Tia. She wouldn't even notice, not with her focus now on Derek, her new target. Tia's task was clear control Derek. Make sure he understood who they were, and make sure he was caught in her web like everyone else before him. Once Derek was tangled in Tia's trap, he'd be just like the rest, trapped, unable to escape, and forced to open the door to his future in a way that benefited them all. Don saw the game clearly now, but he also saw the cost of playing it. The more he understood, the more he realized that the road to freedom wasn't just about breaking out of the trap. It was about finding a way to live with himself after. To be continued.